Okay, welcome. This is actually a recording for Friday's class, but I'm going to be sharing it with Thursday's class as well. I don't know, a glitch in the system. So I want to begin today with talking about chapter 3, and that is section 3.1 and 3.2. I'm going to change my background now because I've finished the yet conversation, and I'm going to switch over to this week's agenda. If you take a look, you'll see on this side, we're just going to quickly review 3.1 and 3.2. If you have questions, it's a good time to ask. And then we'll go on to 3.3 and 3.4. In the other class, I did do a Kahoot in the morning, which I think I'm going to exclude today because it was very hairy at the end of class and they needed a little more time and we didn't have it. So I figured if we can do the Kahoot at the end of class, if we have time, we will. Otherwise, I'd rather do the content because it's rich today. There's a lot to figure out, and I don't want anyone leaving class feeling really anxious about that. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And the first thing I just want to do is remind you all of my announcements each week. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Well, maybe it's going to get bigger, maybe it isn't. But the announcements each week let you know things that I've been thinking about or changes that have happened or whatever. And one thing I did spend time on in this class, but I decided to reword it or reorganize it in your notes, is the if-then statements, where there's 3 that are like the if-then, the sufficient for, and the only if, where the P and the Q stay in the same order. Then you have 3 if-then statements, one where it's if, one is it's necessary for, and the other is only if, and those they get reversed. The statement, the antecedent and the consequent get reversed. So I just wanted to reiterate that in the announcements and also share that with you here. You'll see it in the notes as well, but I just wanted to make that explicit. The other piece I wanted to do was to go into the homework from 3.1 and take a look at the questions that people had, and this is the most people had trouble with these questions. So let's see if I can make this a little bigger for you. All right, so this will be a question on the midterm, and it will likely be multiple choice, just like this, where I will give you a statement. I will ask you to give me an equivalent statement, and then I will ask you to give you the negation of the statement. So it's very similar to this style. There'll be one question. We don't have time for more than one, but you can expect it. Now these are the problems with the all, some, or no. So what I've done in kind of preparation for that is I pulled up the all, some, or no template, which I really encourage you guys to use when you're doing these problems. So I'm going to go back to the question now. I'm going to move it over a little bit so you can see them both side. Whoop, I don't know what just happened. It all disappeared on me. Hold on. Where'd you go? There it is. All right. So we have a statement, some dogs are rabbits. So what I would say to you all is, which of the columns are we talking about? Let's talk about row 1. Row 1 goes across as all, no, not, and then some. Row 2 is some, at least one, and no. Row 3 is no, all, or some. Row 4 is some, not all, and all. So what we're trying to match up with is some dogs are rabbits. So let me I just lost you guys. I don't know what happened here. Hold on. Did I lose you? Am I still in class is the question.
Yeah, you're here.
You okay, are. I can't see you. Oh, there you are. You disappeared on me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm alone in a room. Okay, so let's go back to the some dogs are rabbits. Which row are we talking about? Row 1, row 2, row 3, or row 4? Anybody can just shout out. Which row are we talking about on our chart?
Row 1.
Row 1 says some dogs are rabbits.
I think it's 4.
Okay, so the key here is making sure that you're following the format exactly, not even approximately. So notice this is all. So all is definitely not some. Then there are no that are not. That's not some. So we know row 1 is not going to work. Now you could say that some is in the yellow, but the problem with that is it's a not. There's no not here. So row 1 is not going to work. Now we go down to row 4. Did you say 4? Yes, 4?
Yes.
So 4 was some are not. Is that what we have? Some are not?
It's
Do we
some
have-
are.
We have some are. So let's try again. Where is the some are? Which row? Row 1, it's here. Row 1, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So,
Yeah, it's row 2. Some A R B is some dogs are rabbits, exactly in that form. Okay, so if that's our term, that's our statement, we need one that's equal to that or equivalent to that, which means just go to the next column and follow that format. So the next one that we pick should have a there exists at least one. That's what we're looking for. There exists at least one. Do any of these statements say that?
A.
A is absolutely the one that says the there exist isn't there, but at least one dog. That's the there are. And then that is, that is a rabbit. So we're good. Okay.
I have a question kind of
Yes.
related.
Yeah.
I forget, in one of the like worksheet things, it was like bananas are a source of potassium,
Yeah.
but it confused me because it didn't say all bananas.
Didn't say all, I know. And I actually had a little trouble with that one myself. And here's what I will promise you. When it comes to an assessment, I won't do something like that. I will be very clear to use the all, some, none language. I'm not trying to trick you. That I thought was tricky because bananas, are they all bananas? Well, I guess so, because it doesn't say no, it doesn't say some. So that's an assumption. And I know that we should know that assumption, but I didn't either. And so believe me, that's not going to be how I assess you. I want to make sure that you understand the concept, and that's by using the exact language that it has here, right?
Okay.
So just so you know, for test purposes, don't worry.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I found that one challenging too, Laura. I really did. Okay, so now we have the equivalent statement. Now we want the negation. If you remember, the yellow column is the negation, which means the opposite of. So we had some dogs are rabbits. There is at least one dog that is a rabbit. So the negation would be, and what are we looking for? And this is tricky if you don't look carefully at the words. So which one are we picking? Well, we know there's a no. So we can absolutely eliminate A and B. A and B are out. Now we have C and D, which are no dogs. But how do we know which one? Somebody's answering, but what are you answering?
D.
B. And how come, wait, B or D?
D.
D. And how come, Gabriella? How do we know it's not C, I guess is what I'm asking you.
Because C would be kind of counteractive.
Yeah,
Oh.
but use the language of the negation symbols. No A's are B's. What's wrong with C that doesn't allow it to be the answer? You're right in your logic, but I think I'm going to use just the rules right now.
Okay,
What's in the way?
The not.
Yeah, that's all it is. The fact that it has a not makes it not even possible. So that's why this one is the correct answer. Okay? So I'm going to go back. There's a couple more like that, but I'm hoping that now you're going to feel more confident if I can get back to it. Let's see. There we go. All right, so the next one is still the same type of problem. So let's see what this one looks like. So this one, again, they're looking for an equal statement and they're looking for a negation of the statement. And I don't know if the exact question that you had is coming up or not. I'm not as interested in that as knowing if you know how to do that. I'm going to stop underlining all this stuff because I think it's going to be confusing for the next problem. Okay, so in this one, all bees are carnivorous. So are we looking at row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4? That's all you have to do. Oh, actually, I did not select that. It just is selecting it for me. Just forget that. So all bees are carnivorous? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which row are we looking at?
1.
Row 1, all bees, it says all A are B, but in our case, it's all beetles are carnivorous. That's 1. So what would be, what would be the equivalent statement to that? What words are we looking for?
No and not.
No and not. And unfortunately, I already selected it, and that was totally unintentional. I did not, I think it's my subconscious working. I don't know. So the no and the not are only in C. I'm going to move on from that. So unfortunately, I couldn't get to it. All right, now we want the negation. So we're going to move over one more column. Now what are we looking for? What words are we looking for? I'm going to call on somebody. Terry, what are we looking for now? What words? Terry, you with us? Sumya, how about you?
Some are not. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to pick on somebody just because I want to get some more people involved. Sumaya, how about you? Yanli, how about you?
I'm sorry, I was a little lost.
Okay. So we are at all beetles are carnivorous. We've decided it's row 1. We've picked that its equivalent statement is there are no beetles that are not carnivorous, because that's what the template shows us is the logical sequential sequence. Now we're looking for the negation. What words am I looking for? Michael, how about you? Guys, today's gonna be really hard if you are not with it, if you're not paying attention, you're not with me. It's gonna get really hard really fast. I'm promising you.
1 second, I'm still trying to get this question. So for this one, I actually got this wrong. But
Right, that's why I'm going through them.
Yeah,
I already know how to do this.
Yeah,
I'm doing it for you guys.
yeah, this one I got half wrong, but
Yeah,
I did select C on this one.
okay, so but what I'm trying to do is show you the logic of why what you picked was incorrect. The
Mhm.
logic is all beetles are carnivorous, is row 1. The equal statement is there are no beetles that are not carnivorous. That's column 2. The third one is the negation. So you need to use the language of the negation. It's given to you. Now you just have to look for what ones give this exact setup. So we are looking for some A's are not B's. That's all we're looking for. Oops, I'm clicking again, but that's just my finger, it's not me. So what am I looking for on this one? And I'm not picking on Michael, anybody, but guys, this is stuff that I'm trying to go over so you understand it, because we're moving today and we got 2 whole sections to go through and it gets much more challenging. So you really have to be with me. You can't be off doing breakfast, and I don't even know what else people do. You have emergencies, but I don't know what to do. I can't do the work for you. I can only show you what my thinking is, and then you've got to think for yourself.
It's that, right?
Yeah, it's some beetles are not carnivorous, because I'm looking for some and I'm looking for not. If you use this chart, you shouldn't get them wrong, because it's right in front of you. Like, it's telling you exactly what to do. Last one in this section. Again, I pull my chart up. Guys, I need my chart too, you know. I mean, I don't memorize this stuff. I should maybe, but I don't, because I don't use it enough. All right, this one is no dogs or rabbits. So I am looking at row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Which one am I actually looking at? Which row is the one that identifies no dogs or rabbits?
3.
3. Absolutely. So this is the one we just used. Now it could have been the other one, but it's this one. And then so we're looking for all and not. That's all we're looking for. This is not hard. You just need to look for all and not. So if you look at A, it's null and not and all and R. That's not it. Next one's not even not at all. Next one is all and not. I mean, it's really straightforward. You just have to really follow the rule on this. And today is all about rules. So you can't be guessing. You have to be looking at the chart and using it to make decisions. It's all it is. Next one, no dogs or rabbits. We're still there. We picked our equal one as all dogs are not rabbits. Now, what are we looking for? What words are we looking for?
Some and are.
Some and are. Catherine, awesome job. A+ for today. So guys, just use your chart and use the letters and the words that are given to you. You don't really have to think, you have to follow and use it wisely. Now, on top of that, I would like to say, I think it's back on course home. There are 4 people in class that did not do that assignment at all. In section 3.2, there are 7 people that did not do it. And that's just of the people that are registered. So what that says to me is I'm not sure everybody's spending as much time as they need to on this homework. You need to do this. I can't do it for you. The next one, and we're moving right into this in a few minutes. So I think it's important that we, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this one over so we can write on it. Nope, that didn't do it because I can't get it all. Okay, so here's the problem. This is the problem that in section 3.2 people had problems with. Now today we're using a lot of symbols, and so you're gonna need to get comfortable with the symbols, and this is why the homework is so important, because you have to do this and work through it as you're at home. All right, so we have P as human, and Q, you have 3 heads. That doesn't have to make sense, it's just the way they've decided to do it. Now what we want to do is write this in symbolic form. So this says you do not have 3 heads. So you do not have 3 heads is represented how? If Q is you have 3 heads. Anthony, what do you think? What's a you do not have 3 heads then?
Isn't it like the squiggly with the Q?
You got it. It's the negation of Q. Absolutely, Olivia. Thank you. Then we have if. I'm going to write if right now because we're going to have to go back to another table just to double check ourselves. You are human. So what's you are human? P. Beautiful. Now, that's not our final statement. All that is putting it in symbols. Now I need an if then. So I have to decide whether I'm going to write not Q with the arrow P, or if I'm going to write P, arrow not Q. So what we want to do is go back to the announcements from today where I said the word if. Which one of these 1 through 6 are we dealing with on this exact example? Our example is not Q if P. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 is what we're talking about right now.
4.
Which one?
4.
4. So if it says Q if P, we reverse it, which is exactly what we're going to do. Except my little arrow guy's not working. There we go. So to rewrite this, my actual statement is P is really if P then Q, not Q, sorry. So this can be challenging. You just have to practice. And here's the other thing I do want to mention while we're here is when you go into My Math Lab and you look at the area called study plan, anything that you don't feel what I give you for homework is the minimum. It's not enough to master anything. It's enough to practice a little bit. If you want to go in and practice, you can absolutely pick your study plan, go into all chapters forever, go into chapter 3, and then it will give you lots of problems, and you can pick one. Let's just say you want to go in and pick section 3.2. Look at all the problems that if you wanted to, you could practice. There's hundreds, literally. And you can come and go as you please. If you need more practice, pick the thing you need to practice on. That's on you. You know, I would recommend that you do that if that interests you. Okay, so moving on. At this point, we're going to get started on section 3.3. And I would recommend that you open up two things. I would recommend that you open up whatever notes you're using. You can use mine or you can use your own. I gave you a blank one. You may take notes in your notebook, that's fine. Or you may use mine, but I recommend you open that. And I recommend that you open in our class. We're on weekly sessions. We're on week 5. And scroll down to, oh, actually, you can do it in 2 places. There's one that says Google Slide. That's the one I'm talking about. But you can also find it, there's a couple places you can find it, actually. You can also find it up here in GS, Google Slide 3.3. And there's another place that you can find it where it says, you know, assignments for the week under weekly sessions. But any of those places, open it up and you will have a copy for yourself. So I recommend you open up those 2 things because we're going to need them all today. Okay. So what we're going to start to do now is what they call truth tables. And the thing about truth tables is it's rules oriented. So all you have to do is learn the rules, and it's not hard. It can be time consuming. It can be a little bit sticky where you're trying to figure out which 2 columns you're looking at, but it's not hard. It is new. It's going to be something that you may not really understand up front. It took me a few hours to figure this out for myself. And so it's a little frustrating at first, but be patient with yourself, give it time, and you'll be fine. So I'm going to start with the PowerPoint. I'm going to flip around back and forth because I think it's easier to do it while we're learning it rather than watching. So chapter 3, we've done section 3.1, we've done section 3.2. Those will be on the midterm. This and section 3.4 are the last 2 pieces that will be on the midterm. Everything else will go on to the final. So today we're going to learn a little more about negation. We're going to learn about conjunction. We're going to learn about disjunction. You may or may not remember the word conjunction, but if you look back in your notes, there it is. Conjunctions are ands. They're like those intersections we did with Venn diagrams. Those are called conjunction. Disjunction are the V's like U's, like union. And conjunction I think of as and is earlier in the alphabet than or and disjunction. So I think of and conjunction go together, or and disjunction go together. That's just kind of how I think of it. So that's what we're going to be working on today. We're going to learn their definitions, how to do a truth table, and how to do a compound statement for a truth table. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our truth tables, and we're going to do number 1. So what you need to understand is you have 2 choices. In order to be a statement, it's either true or it's false. We don't always know which. Sometimes you do, and then you can actually move quickly, and sometimes you don't, and you have to kind of figure it out. So what we have to do is create every possible scenario. So if we have a true statement, what would be its negation? Knowing we only have 2 things. We have true or we have false. So if my statement is true, what is my negation?
False.
False. So you just put an F there. Pretty straightforward. Now vice versa. I have a false statement. What is its negation?
True.
Perfect. So that's our first 2 tables. Now, if I have one statement, I have 2 rows, true or false. Those are my only possibilities. Now, think of it like subsets, where we used to do 2 to the element. This is like 2 to the statement. I have 2 to the power of 1, which will give me 2 statements. 2 outcomes. If I move to the next one, and I'm just going to show it to you, we'll come back and forth a little bit. The next one, oh my gosh, there's 4 rows. Why would there be 4 rows? Take a closer look. We have 2 statements now. Think of it like 2 elements. When we had 2 elements, how did we figure out how many subsets we had? Who remembers what we did to find the number of subsets? It's only a chapter ago, and it will be on the midterm. I guarantee it.
Put to the power of 2.
Exactly. Nice job, Kate. So it's 2 to the power of 2. Well, what's 2 to the power of 2? It's 2 times 2. So there's got to be 4 rows this time. If you notice, I could have a true statement and a true statement on P and Q. I could have a false statement and a false statement on P and Q, or either one of them could be true and false opposite. And that's what those first four rows, the first 2 columns are saying. In every case, I've filled them in for you to show you that I like to do a pattern. When I'm doing 2 statements, I do 2 trues for the P, 2 falses for the P, and then I go back and forth on the Qs. True, false, true, false. That way you have all 4 possible scenarios and you don't double up any. You find that if you start mixing around and mucking around with it, you end up with the same, you'll have 2 trues or 2 falses, or you'll have too much of the same thing. So for now, just understand that if you have 1 statement, you have 2 rows, true or false. That's it. If you have 2 statements, you've got 4 rows because you've got true and false for each of those 2 options. So 2 trues, 2 falses, or a mixing of either. I'll even go as far as to say 3. If I have 3 statements, P, Q, and R, how many rows would I have? Well, you can see how many, but how do we know? We would know this even if we didn't give it to you. How do we know? Again, think like subsets, same idea. Those of you who are, thank you, Gabriella. Yes, 2 to the 3rd, which would be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So there you have it. All right, so back to, I'm gonna go back up here for a second. So we go back to the notes, and the note says, okay, so if we have a conjunction, which is our and, which if you think of it as like the intersection, but it's a caret, right? It's the caret. If we have a conjunction, we have 4 possible answers. We have a true true, we have a true false, we have a false true, or we have a false false. Those are our only possible solutions. However, when you determine what the and is of those 2 things, think of it, I'm going to pull open a little. Think of it like Venn diagrams. I'm going to draw a Venn diagram for you and kind of show you why this is kind of correct. So let's consider this a P and this is a group of Q, whatever it might be, the statement. So if we both have true, true, it's right in the middle. Now, what does that represent in Venn diagrams, that middle section? What is that? This is all review for the midterm, guys. It's all in the midterm. It's the intersection.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the intersection, exactly right. And it's the and, right? That's the other word for intersection. We can call it intersection, we can call it and really loosely, we can call it conjunction. So that's the only one that's going to be true. Because think about it. If we're talking about intersection, we're talking about and, we're talking about both. We also called it both, I think, sometimes. If we have that, then if I have this P only area, it's going to be no. If I have this Q only area, it's going to be no. And if I have the area outside, it's going to be no. So that's the reason with conjunction, there's only one true statement. True, true, true. These 2 become true. These 2 become false. These 2 become false, and these 2 stay false. So the idea is, think of Venn diagrams. The only one that's true on an and is that middle section, the overlap, where they're both yes, they're both yeses. It's a very particular setup. So let's go back to our Google slide. And now we have P and not P. So let's take a look at P and not P. I have true for P and not P. What would be their and statement? True or false?
False.
Of course, right? We only have one that's going to be true, and it's going to be
True and true.
true and true. So guess what? If you have one statement, it's not possible. It's not even possible. So again, we have false, true. So our result is
True. False.
False.
false, true.
True.
Remember, guys,
False,
true will, that's, who just said that?
Me.
Nice job, Laura. True, true on and is the only one that's true. Everything else is false. So that's kind of our first main objective, our first main thought. So let's go to our second one. Now we're going to try this for two statements. One statement's a little easy. We're not going to have any truths. It's never going to happen on the and. So now let's take a look at the and for P and Q. Oh, we have a true, true. What's that going to be?
True.
True.
And how about all the others?
False.
All false. So fill them in. You're going to be turning this into me, so you guys want to be following along as we do this. And if you can work ahead, go ahead. That's fine for me. Now, I want to go down, not across. Let's go down this time. So I have P and Q. Again, notice I do it the same way every time. That way there's no thought. T, T, F, F, and then T, F, T, F. I keep P and Q the exact same. No change, because that way I don't get all mixed up. Now, I have a row, I have a column of not P. What are those going to look like? So all you're going to do is go back in your mind to, okay, well, what's not P? Well, it's whatever P isn't. So I have P here to be T. So what would not P be?
False.
That's correct. I have T for P. What would not P be?
False.
False again. I have false for P. What would not P be?
True.
Good. The opposites. Excellent. You guys are doing excellent on this. And then again, I have a false for P. What's not P?
True.
True. Right? We're always doing the opposite of whatever P is if we want the not P. Doesn't matter what P is, we do the opposite. Now, what I like to do when I'm doing this is I would take a piece of paper. I take, I don't know, you can use your finger. I'm just going to cover up P for a minute because we don't care about it right now. The next statement is asking an and, but it's not asking for P. It's asking for not P and Q. Now we can change the order of these if we want to, but I'm hoping that you notice it doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter on and. There's only one that it does, and we'll get to that later in the day. So I want to take a look at T and F. What is the and of T and F?
F.
F. It's going to be false everywhere except for which one?
True and true.
True and true. So I have a false, false, false. I have a true, true,
True.
true. I have a false, true.
False.
False.
You got it. Nice job, those of you guys that are with me. The rest of you guys, I hope you're following along because, oopsie, that's false. So how are we doing so far on and? Are we feeling okay on and? Give me a thumbs up if you get what we're doing. We're doing P, not P. We're doing Q, we could do not Q, and the and. That's all I want you to get right now is and. Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling okay about the and. So you guys are the ones that have been chatting, and I'm missing a lot of you. So I'm not, okay, good. I've got a couple more. Good, good. So if you see and, true, true is the only one that's going to give you true. Everything else is false. It's just how it goes. Good job. Okay. So now let's go back to notes. Okay, so now there's the disjunction. Now remember, disjunction is or. I'm going to go ahead and take a copy of this one too, because I'm going to relate this one. Okay, what the heck just happened there? There we go. So here's our disjunction. Remember, disjunction, if we have Venn diagrams, we had a U, we had an or, we had a, I kind of called it all, something like that. Or now we can loosely use that V. Call it disjunction. Now think about it. If it's TT, where is that? Region 1, Region 2, Region 3, or Region 4? Where is TT? Which region are we in for TT?
Number 2.
That's correct. If you're doing a V, you're looking at U. Remember U. The intersection between them is the center always, so that's TT. All right. What happens if it's TF? Am I in 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which region do you think I'm in?
1.
Of
One.
course, right here. If I have FT, where am I?
Q.
FT. 2 can't be F because that's a yes. 2's a yes.
3.
3.
That's correct. I'm going to put a zero there. And where's FF?
4.
Okay, I'm going to make that a box out here. So the idea is, remember U, where U would be all of this. So when you go to look at your answers, take what you already know about U or union or disjunction. It's the same thing. And we're looking at true. Whether it's in one, whether it's in the other, whether it's in the center, we're going to say yes to all. And then if it's FF, meaning it's outside my Venn diagram in my head, then it's a no. So think of it like, remember, intersections, which are carrots now, we're very particular. You can only have a true. Everybody else is out. No, everybody else is false. You can have an or, which is our union, which we were kind of accepting. Everybody that's in there somewhere gets to fit. So in our case, any of those TFs, as long as there's one T in the group, you got a true. The false is the only one that's outside that set of circles. It's outside the Venn diagrams. It's in the universe somewhere, but sorry, you're not part of the group. You're just not part of the family. So that's kind of the idea of disjunction. Let's head back over to our number 1 slide. Let's do it for one statement. We have P, we have not P. We have true, we have false. What would be the or our conjunction, disjunction of those two things, T and F?
True.
It is true. How about F and T? What happens with F and T?
That's true.
It's also true. Because remember, on the and, the only one true is true. On the or, the only one false is false. If you can figure out a way to think about that in your own head, it's not too bad. So when I go back to the notes, and that's why I asked you to open these, you're going to see I've already set this all up for you to kind of help you when you do your work. Negation, you just do the opposite of the original. Conjunction, only true if both are true. That's the TT. Or disjunction, which we just did, only false if false. Those are the first 3 things that you needed to know from section 3.3. Now let's go back and let's go to number 2 on our Google Slides and start to practice some of those. So we have 2 statements, 4 rows, and 4 possibilities. True, false, and then a mix of 2. So when we're doing or is very accepting, very open. Everybody gets to be part of it except the people that aren't there at all. So what do we have for true?
True.
True. What do we have for true, false?
True.
You got it. Nice job. What do we have for false, true?
True.
True. It feels like it's true all the time, doesn't it?
No.
Nah, it's not true for false. They're not part of the group. So take that in. So here's what I would tell you. I would say to myself, find a way to kind of highlight, let's see, I'm going to text box. These 2, I'm going to insert where's my insert? Oh, special character, there it is. So for me, I would put, come on. All right, it's not gonna let me do a second one. I would keep both of these as my cheat sheet. The first one and the second one is all you need for every other type of problem. Because it doesn't matter if it's P and Q, not P, not Q, or a mix of them. You're going to follow the same pattern as long as you have the numbers, the columns in place correctly. So let's go to the right. We have P and Q, again, 4 rows, 2 trues, 2 falses, true, false, true, false. Always the same. Now we need not P. I want you to spend a minute and do that column on your own. See what not P would be if you have P. Go ahead and do that. I'm gonna give you a minute. And then if you're feeling confident, do the not P or Q. Go ahead and do that one. All right, who wants to give me what not P is? What's not P for true? Sorry, for true.
False.
False. What's not P for true? Somebody else.
False.
False. What's not P for true? Oh, sorry, for false. Sorry, for false.
True.
True. And what's not P for true? For false? True. So here we are. This is now our problem. Again, I'm going to take a little object and just cover up P because I don't need P anymore. P was of no value to me. I only need not P and Q, or Q. Now, what I will tell you about this again, notice they're in the opposite order. That will matter one time today, but not now. Again, it doesn't matter which order they're in. You can keep it the same way. So we're looking for true, false. What happens when you have or for true, false? What do you get?
That's true.
It's true. What happens when you have false, false?
False.
No.
It is false. It's the only time we have false. Oh, I had deleted it. I'd nab it. Sorry. How about true, true?
True.
True.
True. How about false, true?
True.
Good. Try the next group in the middle down below. I want you to try not Q first, and then try the or of P and not Q. See what you get. I'll give you a minute to work on that.
Mm.
We're looking this one right in the middle here. Okay, so what do we have? What's our not Q? Just read them straight down.
False.
False for, let's see, I'm not capped. False for the true.
False.
False for the true.
True.
True and
True.
true. All right, so all we did was the opposite of Q.
Wait, that's not
We need-
right.
That's
Wait,
not right. So guys, I think you did P. We're doing Q now. So is false correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is false correct?
No.
True.
No, that should be true. How about, is true correct?
It should be
False.
false.
It should be false. And how about the last one?
It's correct.
That's right.
Okay, so guys, be careful whether you're doing not, I think what you did was not P. That's what I think you did. So be careful to do the correct thing it says. If it says not P, do not P. If it says not Q, do not Q. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and cover up. I'm gonna cover up my Q this time because it does get confusing to see all those T's and F's around. So now we want to do the OR of P and not Q. That isn't the right order, but again, we don't care. So what happens when I put a T and F together on OR?
It's true.
It's true. How about TT?
True.
True.
True. How about FF?
False.
And how about FT?
True.
True.
Very good. Nice job. Try the last one now on this page on your own. And then we'll move on. So this one asks for not P and not Q, and then the OR of both.
Professor Caswell,
Mm-hmm.
can you go over the and again real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
So what happens with and is like the Venn diagram. Let me go back to the Venn diagram here. And is like, let me just take a, here, I'm gonna take a little picture of this one so I can do it.
Because
I
I
like to
have the
cut-
or down, but I still like,
Yeah, well, we did a lot more with the OR, didn't we?
yeah.
All right, so and, here's and. I have P and I have Q. Think of intersection. Even though it's a caret, it's not an N, it's a caret, it's still the same concept.
Mhm.
This means and, this means both. It's very particular. If you don't have it in both, and I mean have it in both, then it's a no, meaning a false. So if I were to take the and, true, true, it's the center.
Mhm.
That's the and. Every other possibility, so section 1, section 2, section 3, and section 4 are all going to be no's because it's not both, it's not and, it's not in both. So 4 is a no, no. That's like FF. It's out of it's not in P, it's not in Q, it's out, it's false.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
So
But-
basically, the TF is
Uh-huh.
false because it's not both FF
Both.
or
Has to be in
TT.
both. So if you think of and as both, TT makes only one, the only sense.
so only TT. It
Mhm.
can't be FF.
Nope,
Okay, so only
Nope.
TT and it's true.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So while you were doing that, I'm hoping everyone else was working on the other problem. How'd we do on our not P's? What do we have?
False, false, true, true.
Good. False, false, true, true. I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly. Well, not that quickly, but I'm going to do the best I can. And how about not Q? What will that look like?
False, true, false, true.
True, false, true.
False, true, false, true. Very good. Hardest part is getting that right because now you're just following a rule. It's just rules, guys. The nice thing about this is it's not like, oh, well, what if I think differently? It's not thinking differently. You're just using what they're telling you to do. So it's like if you can follow the rules, you're good. I'm going to cover up my P and Q just so I don't get confused by it. And now I'm looking for the OR of not P and not Q. So what's the first one?
False,
It is false. And how about all the others?
true.
True.
Beautiful. That's it. So that is 2 statements and an or. Now we have 2 more to learn today, but we're going to practice a little bit more before we move on. So the next thing I want to show you is the same idea, no new rules, but you get to cheat a little bit. If you know the truth, whether it's true or false, you don't have to do your whole truth table. you can actually use the information from the truth table to get a nice quick answer. So let's use some examples of things that you already know. You're going to see this in your homework. Okay, why did you do that? I do not like that. No. Let's try this again. All right, there we go. So here we go. We have two statements. One's P, 10 is greater than 4, and the other is Q, 3 is less than 5. So what you first have to do is remember your inequalities. So remember that this inequality is greater than, and this inequality is less than, just as a quick reminder, so that you can read it correctly, because that's kind of the key. So the first one says 10 is greater than 4. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
True.
It is true. And how about Q? 3 is less than 5. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
True.
True. So we have two true statements. We're now ready to go. So now we can actually fill in true and true, because that's what our statements are for this problem. You don't always know that it's true or false. We don't always know. So you have to do the truth table. But when you do, boom, boom, it's fast. So what happens when we have a true and a true? What do we end up with?
True.
You got it. So not too bad when you already know the information. Let's try the next one. Not P would be what true or false statement?
False.
It'd be false. And Q again is still true. So now we're testing false and true. What do we get when we do false and true?
False.
We do. Not too bad, right? If you know whether it's true or false, it makes your problem a little bit easier. That will be on your homework. All right, let's try. Okay, that's just giving me answers. That's not doing anything new. Okay, now what we do is we're going to take the information we already have and we're just going to add, we're going to build on it. So we're going to add more statements. So in this particular example in the notes, it's not very interesting really, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it anyway, just because it's building on your knowledge. And I apologize that my lines are really not very straight, but that's kind of what happens. I also do a bar between P and Q because I don't like to confuse the issue. I like to keep them separate. And this one's asking for the negation. Sorry, the negation. No, that did not come out well. Hold on. The negation of P and Q. Now notice they added a parentheses just to show that you find your P and Q first, because we know order of operations means parentheses first, and then we do the negation. So we've done the and, which is actually given because we already know that the truth table says when you have an and, true, true is only true. Everything else is false. So that's already, we know this. Now what we have to do is find out what the negation is of all this.
Couldn't it also, like, couldn't you distribute it as, like, not P and not Q?
We can test that. Let's test that. I love that idea. I think that's a great question. I'm going to add some more columns to test that whole theory out. So first of all, let's find this, and then we're going to decide if Laura's correct or not. I'm going to need a not P later, and I'm going to need a not Q in a minute, because I am going to ask you guys to start proving stuff later. Might as well do it now. Why not? Okay. So if we have P and Q to be T, F, 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 let's do not P and Q. So our T would become
False.
false, and our 3 F's would become
True.
T's. Good. Now, let's go test out Laura's theory. Laura's theory is it should be the exact same. So what she's saying, I need one more column. I'm not sure I have enough room for one more column. Shoot. Hold on, I'm gonna take an, I don't think I can take a copy of this. Shoot. Hold on, I need one more column. It's gonna be really small, but here's the last column. It's gonna be this concept. So we're gonna try and find out whether order matters, all right? So does it matter when we do P and Q first and then take its negation, or can we just do not P and then not Q and then do its and? Let's see if that's true. So not P, if we have P to be true, not P is false, false, true, true. Hopefully that's okay with everybody. Then we're going to go to not Q. If Q is true, if Q is false, if Q is true, if Q is false. Now let's take a look. So we're doing the and of the two of them now. That's what this statement is right here. False, false becomes an and,
False.
false. False, true becomes
True.
False.
an and,
Oh, false.
false. True, false becomes
False.
false, and true, true becomes
True.
right. Now let's take a look. I'm going to use a different color to show you how crazy this is. Here's the problem they asked us. Here's our theory that order doesn't matter.
So it became an or instead of an and.
Isn't that interesting? Well, we're going to find in 2 more sections that we have a rule for that. But I wanted to just show you, you can't just muck it up right now. It actually does matter what order you do things in, except in the and the or. It doesn't matter which order you do the P and the Q. It's the same answer either way. But as far as if the parentheses are there, we need to follow the parentheses for now. I'm going to show you tricks later, but for now, let's just say, yeah, it really matters. It super matters. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's try another one now. This one gets more and more advanced. So what I want to do here, I really want to cover up. I really don't want you guys to see this right now because I want us to be able to do this together. It's better for you to practice it than to just see it. So we have our true and false. We have our not P's. Hopefully everybody's okay with not P right now. So true becomes false, true becomes false, false becomes true, false becomes true. It's always the same. The nice thing is you just have to learn that it's the opposite. Now when we do ors, we're ignoring the P. In fact, I'm just going to cross it off because we don't need it anymore. We're just looking at Q and not P. And we want the or. So what do we remember about or? You can look at your notes. It's okay. What's the only thing we have to worry about in ors? There's only one.
False. False.
False.
Yeah, the false false is the only one we care about. Everything else is true. So it's just a matter of looking that up in your notes, finding that solution. Then it says, well, now we need not Q because we need it for over here. So I'm just going to do the opposite of Q. Okay. Now, the last statement, I'm just going to pull this out. We've already done this. That's over here. That's this one. And now we're going to do the and with the Q. So they get involved, but they're not harder. They just take a little bit of time to get used to it. Now notice why they decided to do Q way over here on the right is because now it would be in order to do this operation. If you do it way back in the beginning, it could be in a weird place and it might be hard to follow. So we kind of do them in order of when you need them. So in this case, we are now doing an and with TF. What happens when you do an and with TF? What do you get? And is very particular. They only want one thing.
False.
It's going to be false. False, true would be?
False.
False. True, false again would be?
False.
False. And we got true, true. That's the only one the and even cares about. Now, so your answer is false, 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 true. Now here's the thing. You're going to say, why does all this really matter? The fact is, if it doesn't have 4 truths, it's not considered a tautology. Much of the logic that you hear out in the debates, in the real world, on the news, they're telling you these things, and they're usually not even very accurate descriptions, or they're not truths. So in order to have a truth, it has to be true in all cases, or it's not considered true. We call that a tautology. So it's gonna matter more soon. Now, when you move on to 3 statements from 2 statements, you have 8 possible ways of looking at it. You have it where P, Q, and R could all be true. You have it where P, Q, and R could all be false. That's at the bottom. And then you've got every possible permutation in between. So what we usually do is follow an exact pattern. We usually do 4, oopsie. We do 4 P's first, I'm sorry, 4 T's on P first, 4 F's on T second. So 4 trues, 4 falses. Then we follow a different pattern for Q. We do 2 trues, 2 falses, 2 trues, 2 falses. Then we do every other, 2 false, 2 false, 2 false, 2 false. The reason we do that is because it gets very complicated with all the T's and F's, and you end up with 2 rows that are the exact same. And we don't need the exact same. We need unique rows that only deal with the true, false, true in the order it should be done. So if you go back to page number 3 now, on our Google slide, you'll see I set them up for you this time. It's not always going to be like that, but for now it is. So let's go ahead and let's do number 3 now. We're ready for number 3. So, true, we're looking at P or Q. P or Q. So in a sense, I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cover up R, because we don't care about R yet. Just going to cover it up so you don't have to look at it and get all confused. And you can use your finger, you can use a piece of paper, whatever you want. So we only want P or Q. So what happens when you have TT on P or Q? What do we get?
True.
True. How about another TT? Well, that was nice.
True.
True, true again. How about true, false?
True.
True. How about true, false? Again.
True.
Oh, I'm having trouble finding it now. I lost my pen. It disappeared on me. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. It's back. Okay, true. How about false, true?
True.
True. How about false, true? True. How about false, false?
False.
False. So that's the only 2 that were false on the OR. Now what we're going to do, I have to take the R back, and I'm actually going to cover up P and Q because we don't need that anymore. And I'm now going to do an and between these 2. Now again, you could have put the R in the other column. You could have reversed the columns. But again, for and, we don't care. So it doesn't matter. So when we have and, when's the only time we have true?
When it's true, true.
True, true. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to the true, trues, and I'm going to put true. Everything else,
False.
false. That's it. Go in and fill those in. Now I want you to try the next one on your own, and I'll wait, and then we'll go over it. So the first thing you need to do is do not Q. It's telling you exactly what to do. Then you're going to do the and of P and not Q. Then you're going to do not R. Then you're going to do the or. See what you get when you do that. And we'll go over this in just a moment. You guys are doing a great job on this, by the way. Those of you that are participating do an awesome job. I hope that the rest of you are following along and feeling okay about it right now. Okay, are we ready to take a look at this now? Who wants to say what the eight rows of not Q are? What do we have?
It's the false.
It's false. I'm having trouble here. Okay, so false, and then
False.
False.
false, and then
True.
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 true, and then
True.
true, and then
False.
good,
False. And then true. True.
true, true. Okay, good. Now I want, and I'm going to cover up the next piece of it just because it's easier for me to not see P and Q when I don't need it. I'm just going to cover that up. All right, so now we're looking at, oh no, I do need P. I need not R. Hold on. Just going to move that over. There we go. So I need P and not Q. So when we have an and, what's the only place that we can put a true?
If there's two truths.
Two truths. Do we have any of those?
Yeah.
We
third.
do. We have one here and we have one here. So what about every other place?
False.
False. Good. So they're all otherwise false. Good. Now we need not R. So now I'm going to cover up P and Q because I don't need those anymore. There we go. Now R, we want not R. Who wants to give us those?
False.
False, true,
False. Oh, good. So it's exactly the opposite all the way down. Boy, I love when things like that happen. That doesn't happen too often. Okay, and now I'm going to cover up the R as well, just so I don't have to look at it. Except I'm not, oh, there, I think it got bigger. There we go. So now, and I don't need the not Q either. That's over. So now what we need is we need our and statement and our not R and make that an or. So with or, what's the only thing that we can't, that we give a false in? Let's do it that way.
False. False.
False, false. So this first one is false. Almost to the bottom is false. Almost to the bottom is false. What do we know about every other thing?
True.
True. So hopefully you have false, true, 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 false, true, false, true. Again, this is not a tautology because they're not all trues at the end. Is that okay? How'd you guys do on that? Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling fairly good about this. Give me a thumbs up. If you're not, you don't have to respond. I just want to see who's feeling okay about this right now. All right, we have about 5 people in the class. Nobody else? Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is go back to the notes for a minute. Whoops, except I keep getting out of the notes. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, actually, I think we just did the truth table on this exact statement. So notice, I'm going to go ahead and pull over. I'm going to pull this over just so that we can write the statement and then show you that it's the same one we just found. So, I study hard. I study hard. And ace the final. Ace the final. So that is in parentheses. The comma makes you realize that that's what the parentheses is. Or I fail the course. So I think the one we just did had some knots in it. So actually this would not be that. So we might as well go ahead and do the truth tables on this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to copy of templates. I did give it to you in Blackboard. If you want to follow along, you can absolutely use one too. Basically what I did was I just gave you blank templates already set up so that when you work on it, it's ready to go for you and you don't have to retype them all every time. However, you certainly can. So P's are always going to be the same, Q's are always going to be the same, R's are always going to be the same. The part we don't know, and I need to go back to figure out, what did we just say? We said it was going to be P. I need to go up and carry.
or R.
Yeah, so P, or was it Q? Yeah,
Q
P and yeah. So P and Q, and I gave you this. I don't know what that was all about. I just tried to copy it. It didn't like it. Let me go back. It just takes a minute to get it set up because it's a little, it's a little. If we were in class, this would be a lot easier. Let's just put it that way. Come on now. There we go. Now that's for the first piece. Now notice there's capitals there. Not capitals. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it's capitals, but I'm gonna make them small because I don't like them capitalized. In some books you will see capitalized. Now, that's the first statement. And we don't have to do any knots, so it's a nice easy one. Then what's the next piece?
or are.
Or are. To do here. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this over. And I'm just going to use a V, but know that I would copy it from up above if I were doing this myself. All right, that's all we need. We don't need any knots. It's pretty straightforward. And we've just got 2 columns to do. Well, I think we could do this one pretty quickly now that we have an idea. What happens when it's P and Q? What are we looking for? What do we know about and?
2 truths.
Just 2 truths. Everything else is false. That makes it pretty easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move over to the next column, and all we're going to do is we're going to or that with R. So all we need is the 2 columns at the last 2 columns. So what do we know about or? What is the key piece about or?
False. False.
What is it? False, false. And that's the one we care about. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my false falses because those are the ones that hold me up. Otherwise, oopsie, there's one more. There's 3 false falses. All the rest are truths. If you can find ways to come to terms with this on your own, look how much faster and easier your problem is. So that's how you would solve that problem. Okay, I think I just clicked the button on my chair. There we go. All right, so let me head back over here. So it's going to show you the statement here of how you completed your table. Hopefully we got it right. I mean, I'm assuming we did. And then there was a second part to this. It said, suppose that you study hard. Let's take a look here. Suppose that you study hard. So study hard is P. You do not ace, you study hard. And you do not ace the final. And, oh, that might be an or here. And you fail the course. Oopsie, no, that's an or. You fail the course. Now, what they're saying that this is an or, but that's not feeling good for me. Not liking this. When we go back over here, they're basically saying that the disjunction of P and Q is false and R is false. So it's a true statement. Oh, no, I see what they're saying. They're saying if I study hard and I ace the final, whoopsie, or I fail the course. Okay, so what they're basically saying is T, okay. I'm not sure how they're coming up with the statement is true. There's a lot of, sorry, I keep clicking on the next thing. I don't mean to do that. I'm not sure why they're saying the whole thing is true because it's not true for all cases. So the statement is true. I'm trying to figure out what they're talking about. If I study hard and I ace the final, oh, for pity's sake, or I fail the course. Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're saying right there, so I'm going to let it go. Now, the next one is a little bit confusing for, it's in your homework though, and that's why I'm going to spend a couple minutes on it. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the idea here is that you're looking at a chart, knowing how to read the chart, and then you're determining whether it's true or false. So for example, I didn't do a great job on this yesterday. Let's see if we can do a little better today. So on this one, what we're saying is, and it's a little backwards logic, it is not true that 100% of men are homely. So are 100% of men homely? Here's homely, here's 1% of men. Is that a true statement, 1% of men are homely according to this table? That's a true statement. But in their statement, they're saying it's not true. So if this is true, then not true, oh, how do I say that? Hold on. Then our actual statement would be a false one. Then, and, oh, I lost my guy. And more than half our average. And let's take, here's average, more than half. Is that a true statement? That is a true statement. Then, all right, so that's the first piece. The next part is or. It is not true that 5% are extremely attractive, strikingly attractive. So we're looking at strikingly attractive. Now we're looking at women, which are yellow, is 5%. So if you look at it, this is 3%. 3% are strikingly attractive. And they're saying that it's not true that 5% of women are extremely attractive. That's true, because it's not true that it's 5%. It's only 3%. So what we're saying is false and true is false, because we know the only thing in and that's true is true, true. And then it's or, true, and we end up with a true statement. So the idea is you don't have to do a full truth table on these. You just have to pick whether the statement it's saying is true or whether the statement saying it's false based on the data in front of you. Okay, so that's it for 3-3. Now, did we go over to, yeah, we already did questions 1, 2, and 3, correct on this? Good. Now, question 4 is dealing with section 3-4. So I guess what I want to do right now is take a pulse, see how people are doing, and then we're going to move on to section 3-4. It's very much like section 3-3, but it just adds 2 more areas. It adds the if and only if, and it adds the if then. And then we're done with truth tables, identifying how to find them, and then we start to work with them. So how are we feeling so far right now? Does anybody have any questions that they want to go over before we start that next section? Because it is a lot today. I know it's a lot of new content. Give you a minute to think on that. So notice that section 3-3, it looks like there's not a lot to do. There was a lot to do, but it was because we were learning what truth tables are. Now this next section, we're still using truth tables. There's just 2 more truths. That's all. There's 2 more things we need to learn. So what I would recommend we do right now while we're taking just a little breather is go into Blackboard, go into that assignment that we just did, the Google slide, click on it. And then what I want you to do is scroll down to where it says write submission or comments. I don't care which place you put it, but I want you to go up to your slide, go to share. Notice I have it restricted only to me. So what I want you to do is select OK, undo the restriction, copy the link, go back to Blackboard and paste it into either one of those areas and submit. Now the good news is you're going to continue to work on this today, but it's submitted so you don't have to worry about it later. So it's a good thing to do right now, just while we're taking a minute to breathe before we move on to that next section, letting you process a little bit. So that's what I would recommend you do now. And if you share the link, even the changes you make, I'll see in the future. If you send me the document, I'm not going to see anything you do past this minute. So that's why I'm hoping you'll share the link instead, would be better. Okay.
So where do we submit it? Sorry.
So if you go into Blackboard week 3, all the way to the bottom, it says classwork. Oh, it doesn't say week 5 on it, unfortunately. So week 5, GS. It says submit link here. Don't forget to remove share restrictions. It's right on the bottom of today's work. And
I just don't see where to submit it when I click on it.
oh, so did you click on it itself, or did you click on the Google slide?
Yeah, I clicked.
So click on the actual assignment, not the Google slide link. Click on the assignment and you should see this. It says it's worth 5 points, and then you can either write a submission or you can put it in comments.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, either one. No, that's all right. I'm sure there's other people that have that same situation. It's worth going over because these are easy ways. This is how you're going to submit your final, your midterm exam to me is the same way. So it's good to figure it out now. And I can't tell if I am stinking recording again. Like, I can't find it. It's usually at the bottom of my screen and I can't find all the, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute to see if I'm actually still recording. I'll be right back. I'm gonna, wait, here, no, I just can't see. All right, stop moving around. Sorry, talking to myself. I'm the only one that will listen. All right, so where's my, oh, it does say I'm recording today. So I don't know, I did do it right today, good news. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to share the screen. Boy, that's some bright background today. All right, so as we're starting section 3.4, I'm gonna talk slowly because the good news is, even though the rules are new for this, it doesn't feel really different. You just have to know what symbol you're working on to follow the correct rules. So for example, let's go back to our notes. So on this table, I have given you the information for negation, which we already know is the opposite of. I've given you the information, oh boy, it keeps getting bigger now. So I've given you the information for conjunction. We've been working on that for the last hour. Only true if they're both true. And that's a P and Q. Or only false if they're both false on 2 statements. You usually test 2 statements at a time only. You don't test more than that at a time. Now the last 2 we have to do are the conditional if-thens. And if and only ifs. Those are the 2. And I've already written the rules in there, so you will have them, and we'll come back to them in a minute. The other place I want to show you on your notes, I've also given you this thing. Oh, it's moving around again. Sorry, guys. Okay, making you dizzy, I'll bet. So the other place I gave you is called a logic foldable. I'm going to give that a little highlight. I also find that that's a good spot. It's not going to let me. All right. No, it uncovered for me. Super duper. All right. So the logic foldable is really just a quick way of looking at it. It'll tell you exactly what you want to know. So if you look at the first 2 columns, it's just P and Q. They'll be given every time. P and Q, 2 truths. P or Q, 2 falses are false. And then we have the if and then. So I give it all to you in 2 different ways. Whatever way works for you makes sense for me. So let's go back to, I'm trying to find the notes. There we go. Chapter 3, now we're in section 4. So the only thing we have to learn this section is what a conditional and a biconditional, what their responses are when we do the truth table. So if you have an if-then, you're going to have an arrow that's one way. Remember, they might say it different ways, but it's an if-then every time. In this case, it's pretty accepting. This is the only time, and if I were to write notes on something today, this would be the one. Conditional is the only time that order does matter. You have to have your first term first and your second term second, because what happens is there's only one time that it's false. It's not two trues, it's not two falses, it's when the true is first and the false is second. That's the only time you have a false on a conditional, which means this is the one where order matters. So it's true, 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 false, 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 true is fine, that's true, and false, false is true, that's fine. So let's take a look at an if-then. Let me see if number 4, did I do that on number 4? I'm not sure. Let me take a look if I did. I think number 4 will have us working on this. We move to number 4. Here we go. It's blue. If you want to, oh, I don't think you can change the back. You might be able to change the background. Did I change it in here? No, I guess I didn't. I think you're going to have to leave it blue. But you could make it a little bigger if you choose to, just so you can see it a little better. And on this one, we're doing the if-then first. So again, if you have true, true, it's true. That went in a weird place. Okay, we have a true. If it's true, false, this is the one that really matters. It's the only one that's false. False, true, fine. False, false is actually okay on this one. So this to me, again, if I were to put in a little, it's moving on me without letting me close it up. There we go. If I were to put a little check mark somewhere, this would be the place. Oh my goodness. It's not letting me get smaller. There we go. If I were to put a little check mark in any of the boxes on this one, I'd put it here. Come on. There we go. Because that's going to be your key. That's the one you're going to want for every single time. So now we're going to move over beside it to the next one. And we're going to look at not P and not Q. You can do those. You already know how to do those. So why don't you do those first, and then try to find out what if then would be for not P, not Q. And we'll come back in just a moment. Just double check your not P's and your not Q's against mine. Those should be pretty common now. You shouldn't be having too much trouble with that at this point. The if then is the new piece. All right, who wants to give it a try? Who wants to, what would false, false be on an if then?
True.
True. What would a false true be on a true, on an if then?
True.
True. What would a true false be on an if then?
False.
Well, it's the only one that's false. Notice every single one of the things that we use has a specialty item. Ands, 2 trues are true. Ors, 2 falses are false. If then, it's only the true false that's a problem. Everything else is good. So if you think about it, it's really just finding the pattern and using that pattern. So that's it for that one. Okay. So we go back to the note, to the PowerPoint, and we just went through that one. This is a new piece for me. I did not know this, so I'm learning it with you. You can actually take an if then, reverse its order, negate the things you said, and it becomes true. So here's an example. If you're cool, you won't wear clothing with your school name on it. Now, reverse them and negate them. So the you won't wear clothing will become if you wear school clothing with your name on it, then you're not cool. that cool becomes uncool. So those are true statements. So it's kind of cool with an if-then. We're going to learn some contrapositive, I think they call that. The contrapositive is still true when you reverse it and negate whatever you were saying before. Okay, now this one looks, oopsie, this one looks very complicated, but let's go ahead and do it ourselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy. That didn't happen. I don't know what happened. It was really weird. Oh, it's killing me. Give me a second. My computer's having issues. There we go. Let's try it again. There it is. It's working now. Finally, I'm going to go back to my templates because I find my templates are a little bit easier to use than trying to do freehand where my lines are really mixed up. So here's my statement that we're trying to do. I'm going to put it off to the side so you can see it. So we want to do P or Q first. P or Q. Oh, it's capitalized. I don't want that. P or Q. So that's our first statement. What are we going to need after that? Let's try and decide what we're going to need next. In order to do, we're inside the parentheses. We just did inside the parentheses. What are we going to need after that? In order to do the next statement. Give it a try. You learn through making mistakes, guys. Just give it a shot. It's okay if you're wrong. I'm wrong all the time.
It's the P and Q and then or the.
So I have, well, no, so P and Q is or. What's the next statement?
The end?
Yeah, the next statement is this one, but in order to do that, what do I need first?
Oh, the not P.
I need, very good, awesome job on that. I'm gonna need a not P here, so I can then find out, that's right, so I can find out what, oh, I have to go up to get the and again, because unfortunately, ands are not easy to do. So I did give you these symbols so you can cut and paste them down below when you're using these templates. So notice I'm doing this in
a shift and then 6.
oh, shift and 6, what does that do?
That gives me the
oh, the caret. Yeah, it's a little one, but yeah, it does work. I think that'll work. Excellent job, excellent idea. Let me just get this straightened out here. Good. All right, so the first thing we need to do is the parentheses, right? Then we need to do not P, because we need it in order to do this other, I don't know how big that is. Okay, and then we're still not done. What else do we need? We need an if-then for Q. So the last piece of it is going to be this whole mess. If I can copy it. No, I don't want the whole thing like that. Let me get my tool helps, but only so much. So we're going to do this. I'm trying to move it out. It's giving me a hard time. Come on. There you go. And that's a brace. And I need to get rid of this. I have to get rid of that real quick. Unfortunately, because it's so big, I can't see everything that I want to see. Oh, where am I going to get rid of you? I'm just going to have to move it over for now because I can't see enough to make it happen. I just need more space. Okay, there we go. And I need my if-then, my symbol. Don't do that. You're acting up on me. Okay, and that I think is the R. So let me just pull this back up to make sure we're doing the right. Oh, no, it's a Q. That's why we don't have 3. Duh. Okay, there we go. That's a Q. Just looks weird. It's too big and awkward looking, and just try and clean this up. Will you stop? Oh, it's so temperamental today. I don't know why it's acting up, but it is. There we go. All right. So again, P and or Q. This is review from earlier today. There we go. So when we have or, the only thing we have a problem with is
False.
false, false. Everything else is true. Good. Now we have not P's. You guys should be okay with that too. It's take P and do its opposite. So TT becomes FF, FF becomes TT. So far, so good. Now, we need to do the and between these two columns here. So when we do and, what are we looking for?
FF.
We're and, not or, and. What are we looking for on that one?
True, true.
True, true is true, otherwise false. So
False.
everything else is false here. Perfect. Now our last statement, and you know what I might do on this one? I think I'm going to move this one here because, and you know, I don't know if you know why, but I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do this. I'm doing this because I'm going to rewrite Q right here. And the reason, it's very small, and I don't know why it's so small. Come on, get bigger. Wow, it's given me a really hard time. Don't know why, it just will not let me. Let's get rid of that one. I think it's some kind of a exponent or something, I don't know. All right, I'm gonna rewrite Q, because if you remember, guys, stop moving around on me, there we go. Order matters for if then. So I'm gonna just cut and paste my Q so that I'm only looking at those two columns. Otherwise, it gets really easy to get all mixed up. So I'm gonna cover up anything before my braces. Brackets, I guess those are brackets. So we're doing if then now. If you remember if then, the only one that matters is the TF. Do we have any TFs on this one?
It's no FT.
FT's okay. It's TF that's a problem. So do we have any TFs?
No.
No. So it's all true. I don't like that way that looks. Hold on, I better redo this. I'm a little particular when it comes to these things. I don't like it when things look weird. Okay, I'm gonna center, hold on, I'm gonna center, oh, please. It's hopping around on me today. It's not really giving, There we go. Finally, third time's a charm. So in this case, all T's are there, it's a tautology. So when you end up with all truths, you have what they call a tautology, which is a really great thing. That's what you kind of want. That means it's a really strong argument. So that, back to the notes, was what we just came up with, constructing a truth table. So the last one that we're going to learn today is the if and only if. And this one, again, has a specialty case. And all it cares about is it has to be the same frontwards and backwards, so that when you reverse them, it's still true. So the idea is for this one, it's only true if both statements are true or both statements are false. Otherwise, it's fallacious. We don't care. It's false. So if you take a look at the table here, it says true, true is true, false, false is true, everything else is false. Last thing we have to learn for today. So let's go back to our number 4 and take a look at our if and only if. And this again, this column here is going to be our, you know, our main one that we need to know. It's our Bible. So again, if it's true, true, it's true. If it's true, false, it's false. If it's false, true, false. And if it's false, false, true. So we only care about when they're the same. And the way you think of this one is the arrows are going both ways. It has to be both ways. True, 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 false, or false, false. Let's try an example. Again, do your not P's and your not Q's. You guys know how to do those. So I'm going to give you a minute to work on those, and I'll just fill mine in. I don't think you're going to need my help on that one now. Okay. So check your not P's and your not Q's, and then try your if and only if statements. Okay, so who wants to give a try? What is the false on an if then? False
True.
on if then. True. What's a false true on an if then?
False.
False. What's a true false on an if then?
False.
False. And what's a true true?
True.
Excellent. So the idea here is, here's my recommendation to you. As you're working on these problems, go back to your notes and pick a table that works for you. I like this foldable, I call it the logic foldable. Normally in class we'd use markers and colored up. Now what the heck is going on now? Completely changing sizes on me. But on this one, now it's getting smaller and I haven't touched a thing, I promise. Unbelievable. Now it's up to 240, so it's going to get really big. It's super slow and it's just helping itself. Anyway, pick one of the tables that you like, that works for you visually, and use that when you're doing your work. It's still going. It's going to continue to come, and I don't know why. Keep coming. All right, so hopefully that's okay. So I like this one personally because what it does is it has the and, the or, the if then, and the if and only if there at the same time, right in front of me. The other option you have is the one that here's a little bit like grayer looking. You can change the colors on it or whatever. But that one is also here for you, written in words. So whatever one works for you is the one you should use. So let's move on right now to number 5 on our Google slide. Now this one gets more complicated, and it's asking you for the result of these two-statement compound statements. See if I can get this a little bigger. Okay, so what's the first thing we're going to need to do in order to solve that final solution? What's the first thing we're going to need?
The parentheses.
We need to do the parentheses first, and all I'm going to do is go up here and copy it. It'll make it a lot easier for yourself if you do the same, but that's up to you. Now, if you notice, I didn't have enough room there. You can either make the print smaller, you can make the text smaller, or you can just drag the rows out, the columns out. It's up to you. Now, what do we do once we have the and? What's the next thing we're going to need to do?
The or.
We need to do the or. Now, do we need to do anything before that, or are we all set? Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
We're good, because we have the P. If it was not P, we would probably want to do that next, but we don't have that. So we're in good shape. I'm just going to keep moving this out so that I can have a little more room to just not have it all squished up. All right, now, once we do the or, what do we need to do next?
The not Q.
Nice job, absolutely. So, oh, that's small again. I don't know why it's don't like it, I know that much. Very delayed. Not sure why. Oh, and it's tiny again. Oh, this is annoying. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's acting up. I'm just going to cut it, copy and paste it. Sometimes it's just easier to do that. There we go. And I'm going to drag out my last column just so that it's nice and neat looking. All right, so let's start. And I'm going to center everything on mine. You can do that or not. I just like it centered. I like it to look nice. So I want to know what happens with and. What's our rule for and? What do we care about?
False.
True.
All true. Otherwise,
False.
Oh,
false.
everything is
So that makes it nice, right? Next one. Now we're going to take that statement and we're going to compare it with P. So again, what I like to do on this, you aren't going to have that luxury at home unless you use your finger or something. I'm just going to cover up the Q for a minute because I don't want to get confused by the Q. Because right now we're looking at that and of the PQ and we're going to or it with P. So I'm going to ignore the Q for a minute. And what do we care about with ors? What's our weird thing with ors?
Two false.
Two falses. And if we have two falses, what's our solution?
False.
False. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put that in. Otherwise,
True.
so true.
true. All right, good. Now I do need to bring my Q back because I need to know what not Q is. So if I have true for Q, my not Q is
False.
false. If I have false for Q, my not Q is
True.
true, and we're going to do the same thing again. Now, I'm going to cover up, just for my own purposes, I'm going to cover up everything that doesn't matter right now. And I'm left with these last two things. Now, this is the new information. All that other stuff we've been practicing for an hour and a half. This is the new information. I now have an if, the first statement, a then, the not Q. So now I'm using my if-then comments. What's the only thing we care about with if-then?
True and false.
True then false.
True then false. Oh, we do have one. It's our first one. And what happens when it's a true then false? What happens?
It's false.
It's false. Otherwise,
So true.
True.
good. Now what I want you guys to do for a couple of minutes is try the next one. Fill in the things you need and then try and solve it for if and only if. We'll go through the answer in just a moment. So give you just a moment to work on that. You may ask questions. It's not like you can't. Try it yourself. It's going to make you much more confident on the homework if you're able to try it yourself. And I didn't change a lot, so there's some things you can copy over again, I suppose. Stinker. Nice thing about this is you can cut and paste if you so choose, or you can practice again. It's up to you. So hopefully you guys noticed that the only thing different is the last column. The first, well, columns 1, 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same on the problem we just did. I did not ask for not Q, so you don't have to do the not Q part. And so really all you're doing on this problem is the if and only if. Okay, so how you guys feeling on this? You need another minute? Are you feeling okay?
Sounds alright.
All right, good. So what's the key with if and only ifs? What are we looking for?
2 trues or 2 false.
Exactly, we're looking for the same. So as long as you have the same, you have true. If you don't, it's false. So we have a true, true. We have a false, true, false, 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 false. So it's almost tautology, but it still is not. All right, so that one is ready to send. We're done with that one. You guys are ready to submit that now for your classwork. Now I'm going to head back to, I don't really like this. Okay, so we're done with our notes. So now we have 2 options for the remaining 30 minutes of class. One is to take up a hoop, which is kind of review of symbols and section 3.1, really pretty much. The other one is, and we may have time for both, I'm not really sure. The other is a Google form of a few questions from sections 3.3 and 3.4. Let me just take a look at it because I don't remember exactly what I did. I know I created it like last weekend. Oh, so I give you the table up above, and then I ask you, actually, we might get to all of them. Why don't we start with this one? We can actually even do this together. It's totally fine. If you go back to class, week 5, go to the agenda and select classwork 3.4 Google form. Technically it's 3.4 and 3.5, but I think we can work through these pretty quickly. So fill in your information, your contact information, your email address if you want the answers, first name, last name, email address, and then Friday's class. And this is just a little practice getting you ready for homework, really. Hard to do truth tables in a Google form, so I won't do them on the exam. It'll be just like what you used today. I'll give you the tables, you fill in the information, and you'll submit it, just like today. That's gonna be like your midterm. Same with Venn diagrams, same thing like we did in class before. So it should be stuff you're already comfortable doing. Okay, so when you're ready, let me know when you guys are all set and you're signed in and starting with question 1. Can you give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go, just so I know who's ready? Keep them up, don't let them down yet, because I want to see if who else is coming in. Okay, we only have 4 people ready, so that leads me to believe that we need some more time. All right, good, we're getting there. Jennifer, Laura, not Yunli. Davian, okay, Davian's good. How about Christina, are you good? Okay, good, excellent. Everyone, and guys, I want to shout out the answers. So you can unmute yourself and just shout out the answers. P is December 31st. It is December 31st today. Is the statement true or false?
False.
All right, fill it in. Would not P be true or false? So we're on question 2. So you've got P, it's December 31st. You're answering if that's true or false today.
True.
Then I'm asking for the negation. That's question 2. Just practice on negation, that's all that was. Moving on. So some of this is going to be a nice quick review for you. Question 3. So I give you a statement P that 3 plus 4 is 12. Then I give you a statement Q is 4 plus 5 is 9. So what we have to do is decide if it's true or false. So this is like doing a truth table, but it's the cheating way. You don't have to do a truth table if you know what's true and false. I'm going to do this off to the side. So 3 plus 4 is 12. Is that true or false?
False.
It is false. And, sorry. And Q, plus, 4 plus 5 is 9. Is that true or false?
True.
It's true. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take the opposite of P. So what's the opposite, the negation of P?
So true.
True. Or, and the opposite of Q, or the negation of Q?
False.
False. So what is a true or false statement?
True.
It is true. Very nice. That is going to be part of the work that you do on your homework. So I'm practicing that with you as well. Question 3. You did not do your homework and you left the room a mess. These are your two statements. Is represented by. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up again. So, you did not do your homework is represented by P. Q is represented as left the room a mess. So what are P and Q? What would P be if not P is you did not do your homework?
You did your homework.
Good, you did your homework. What would Q be if Q has left the room a mess? So you're picking the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, left the room a mess.
Of course. So now you pick the one that's correct here. Oh, and I don't know why there's an option 4. There should not be an option 4. So go ahead and pick the correct one. Last one. This is another one where you do not need a truth table. I want you to try it yourself and then we'll go over the answer. See how you do. Does anyone want to try and work through it out loud? Aloud, I guess they say. Is anybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Laura, go for it. Just think, do your thinking out loud.
So P is true. Not R, so R is false, so not R is true.
Good,
So it's either true or true, which is true.
beautiful,
And then and not Q. Q is true, so not Q is false. And if that makes it true and false, which makes it false because it needs to have two trues if it's an and.
excellent, excellent explanation. Does anybody have a question for Laura? She did a really good job explaining that. How'd you do? Did you do okay? All right, you ready to answer that? Submit. You're done. Now, last one we're going to do for today, and then I'll let you guys go. Knowing that your homework for this week is sections 3.3 and 3.4, and then I will also give you a study guide next week, and this is the last of the content that will be on your midterm exam. So come next week, we will continue on with sections 5 and 6, but it will not be on your midterm exam. I just want to kind of reiterate that. So our last thing for the day is the Kahoot. It shouldn't take us a few minutes. We might even end a couple minutes early today, which is awesome when that happens. It doesn't happen often. So you're going to kahoot.it. You can use your computer. You can use your phone. You can use your iPad, whatever you want. Droids work. They all work, I think. And let's see if I can make this work better today. Yesterday, I had a little trouble setting it up. Once we got going, it was fine. See if I can do it. And I think what I'm going, no, I may not be able to stop recording right now because I'm kind of in a weird spot. So let me call it up. It's just slow as usual. Come on. Okay. I think there's like 7 questions and you may use your notes. You have 2 minutes for each question. And it should be, you should be fairly comfortable with the content after today's class.
What's the pin?
It's coming. It's just
Oh,
taking us, it changes every time I run it. It does it differently, so I don't know the pin yet. It's loading right now.
All right, cool.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so 368 5892. And first name, last name, initials, just something that I'll be able to identify you later would be awesome. And I'm very generous on the grade for this one this week. I'm not sure why, I don't know. I guess I was feeling sensitive, but you guys did an awesome job. I want you to pat yourselves on the back. This section was pretty challenging and you guys really handled it well. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. I think I'm seeing 14. I've given just another sec for people to, okay. We're ready to go? I'm gonna go ahead and get started. You can still type it in later. All right, here we go. 7 questions, I believe. You got plenty of time, so don't stress. You're gonna select the correct statement. Only one of these is actually a statement. Which one, a correct one? Which one is the correct statement? Remember, statements are either true or false. They're not both at the same time. Okay, your car is dirty. Remember, a command, stop talking, is not a statement because you can't command someone. The best is an opinion. We don't know if they're the best. And then questions don't work either. So just kind of wanted to remind you of what that is. That will be on the midterm, one question like that. So we're looking for the word for conjunction. Do you remember which one is conjunction? Nice job. Conjunction is and. Next, disjunction. Okay, it is or. Conditional as if then, biconditional as if and only if. Select the negation symbol. Which one is the negation symbol? Nice work on that one. Number 5, select the symbol for biconditional. Biconditional. Okay, conditional as if and only if. Number 6, select the symbolic form of the following compound statement. I'm going to read it to you. Let P, Q, and R be the following statements. P is I work hard. Q is the taxes are high. R is it is time to sleep. So you're going to pick the one that says, if I don't work hard and the taxes are high, then it is not time to sleep. Which one says that? If I don't work hard and the taxes are high, then it is not time to sleep. Nice work on that. Remember, when I said it is not time to sleep, when R was is time to sleep, that's a negation. So it should have kind of eliminated all the other possibilities other than the blue and the green one. Okay, last one. I'm going to read this to you again because it is a little bit small. So let P, Q, and R be the same thing we just had. I work hard as P, the taxes are high as Q, R, it is time to sleep. I want you to take the statement down below and pick the correct breakdown of it in words. It's R and an arrow, parentheses P, and then a caret Q. Okay, so on this one, the R was first, so if it is time to sleep, so your only options were the first three. The last one actually didn't start with an if then at all. And then the other was that the and was in parentheses, so that'd be the second part, and it was an and, it was a caret. So that kind of eliminated many of the other possibilities. Okay, so that is it for the Kahoot. Nice job on that. I'll rate those later. So for this week, you just have 3.3 and 3.4 to work on. Please preview 5 and 6. I think you'll find that if you at least look the section over, it doesn't feel as completely foreign as when we go through it together. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm also going to stop recording. If I can find the record button, there we go. And I'm going to